Welcome. So, libraries. We know that they hold a wealth of information and that kids can learn a lot at a library, and it's more than just books. Today we have a special guest that's going to tell us about the magic of libraries, and you don't want to miss this episode. Hi, thank you so much for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. I am TD Blennaw. We have this podcast to help parents and caregivers with having the resources, strategies, and tools needed to make sure that their children are on track for learning and to stay on track for success. Today we're welcoming Dr. Eno Attah. She is a school librarian extraordinaire, and she has a doctoral degree in educational leadership with an emphasis on social justice. So she's going to tell us about the magic of libraries and what you need to know to make sure your kids are on track and have the competitive edge when it comes to libraries.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy and excited to be here.
Wonderful. Okay, so just before we jump into like business, I believe you're on break right now. Are you enjoying your time?
I am having an awesome, restful, relaxing time. I just came back from Arizona.
Mm.
Um, I did a little road trip to Arizona, and then I also visited Marietta Hot Springs. So that was an experience that was really nice, as well as, eating all types of food because I'm a foodie. So I love to
Yes.
find foods and adventures.
Wonderful. Okay. So one thing that you told me about is you have a doctoral degree in educational leadership, and to get, to be so accomplished and have accomplished so much in the educational and academia, you must love learning. So tell us what that journey was like for you as a child, learning to love, like what got you into learning to love. Learning, I'll get me my words together. What got you into loving to learn? There we go.
Yes. You hit the nail on the head. I am passionate and committed to lifelong learning. I um, love learning new things, learning about people, learning about community, cultures, just anything and everything that there is to know. Because I know, like, for right now, in the entire universe, like, my knowledge is like a speck, so I know that there's always more that I can learn. But dating back to childhood, I can say, when I think back, I'll say my parents, um, PBS,
Okay.
my community, and then some of the educators that I have. So for me to delve, more deeply into that, my background, I'm Nigerian American. So both of my parents, um, are or were Nigerian. My mom passed when I was in college. My dad is still
Sorry.
here. Yes, thank you. And, my dad was an engineer. Before he came to the United States, he studied in Nigeria, of course, and abroad in London. But then he came to the United States and had to deal with a wealth of injustices and
Okay.
had to start all over, And for him, it didn't stop him. He kept pursuing and kept pursuing his goals. And something that him and both my parents would always tell me is that, in life, um, you can gain lots of material things, but what no one can ever take away from you is God or your knowledge. So to pursue that and pursue it passionately. And so from when I was a kid, I just always knew that if there was anything education wise, that my parents are going to support me. I might ask for a pair of new shoes. They may say no. I might ask for the latest, electronics that had come out. They would say no. But if I said I needed money for a field trip or I needed, something to pursue my academic goals or passions, they were going to
Mm-hmm.
support it 1,000% and go above and beyond. So that was my initial love for education. And then when I say PBS, I was a latchkey kid, like a lot of the kids growing up in the 80s.
Okay.
And, even things that parents back then did, today parents would not be allowed to do. But um, I went to
Yes.
preschool and I felt like, oh, I had learned everything that I needed to know in preschool. And, my mom said, well, you need to go to school. I don't want to go to school. I know everything. So my
Right.
mom would go to work. I would be at home, and it would be me, Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and
Okay.
Barbara reading
I,
from
I
home.
I could relate, definitely. I definitely was one of the original PBS kids as well. I'm glad to meet another one.
Hey, so from there, I just really learned a lot from those shows. And now that I'm in education, and they just say like, the first five, and how much students and how much children can learn in the first 5 years of life, and and I'm, not down in, schools or anything like that, but they're saying like, okay, the equivalent of Sesame Street. If you were to have your kid watching Sesame Street every single day, they could learn the equivalent of what they would learn in a preschool. So for me, I was kind of like being self-taught by PBS. And by the time I
Absolutely.
enrolled in kindergarten, I was a teacher's assistant in kindergarten. Okay, so I was helping my teacher grade papers in kindergarten for my
Yes.
PBS education, and I just really loved that my community, again, I was at a school in I grew up in an inner city neighborhood, LAUSD public. I'm a proud product of LAUSD public schools, and I can attest
Okay.
to, yes, I can attest to the love that was poured, and the confidence that was poured into me and my peers growing up in the 80s, being taught by teachers that had come from our community, that had graduated, gone to college, and then returned to the community to teach kids who look just like them. And
Mm.
I am a product of that love, of that inspiration, of that motivation. And I can just say I'm nothing but grateful, because my teachers, I can name my all of my elementary school teachers,
Oh, shout him out. Shout him out.
Miss Burton. So I went to Budlong Elementary at
Okay.
Budlong Avenue Elementary in LAUSD. I had Miss Burton, Miss Washington, Miss Marceau, and then Miss Robinson, who is now an administrator for LAUSD. And I have nothing but accolades to pour on those teachers, because
Wow.
they saw us and they really, really inspired us. And we had the arts, we had everything, So I'll stop there. I could go on and on. You can tell me more
Yes.
about education. I love learning, and it started at a very young age.
All right. So can you tell us about, what are some activities or skills you had when you were younger, right, that led to your present career as a school librarian?
So yes, when I was younger, I actually was trained in ballet, tap, and jazz dance.
Okay.
um our school, and I that was outside of school, but in school we had a dance slash theater teacher from elementary school age who um was teaching us about Alvin Ailey, Debbie Allen. I learned the national Black anthem in
Okay.
elementary school. I learned so many things that still resonate with me today. I learned about Langston Hughes. I learned about the Harlem Renaissance. I learned about, you know, so many things about culture and community. And again, there was not a deficit model or mindset. So I did that in elementary school. When I got older, and I moved from my elementary school to a different elementary school in fifth grade. So,
Okay.
that was kind of traumatizing.
Yes.
I got, again, new teachers, new educators who believed in me and also inspired me. And when I was in fifth grade, there was a program that was just starting. That was a partnership between LAUSD and the University of Southern California, and it was called the USC Pre-College Enrichment Academy Neighborhood Academic Initiative.
Mm.
And the program, I don't know if you heard of that program or not.
I am not sure, but I've heard
Okay.
of different USC programs. I don't know if it's the same USC program.
So this program is called the McMurrow USC Pre-College Enrichment Initiative, now NAI program now, but it was just starting. When I was in the fifth grade, I think they had done the program for a year. There was a cohort right before us, but then we were the second cohort. And the program promised that if you were stayed in this program from middle school all the way until high school and you graduated within this program, you took your SAT and you were accepted to USC, that you would have a full ride scholarship to attend USC, because the crux of the program was that the students who came from the neighborhood should also be mirrored in the demographics of the people who were attending college in that neighborhood. So
Love it. Yes.
how can you have, right, a university right in the middle of the hood, but the people who live in that neighborhood are seen or viewed as outsiders? So
Yeah.
we were included into USC, to where we were called scholars. We weren't called students, we were called scholars. We were on campus every single morning, and then we would bus into our home schools in the afternoons or after the morning. We would come to Saturday school at USC on Saturdays. We would attend
Okay.
summer school and intercession. Like, we breathe USC, so by the time
Okay.
we were graduating, we felt like
Um,
there. We felt like,
all right, go ahead.
can you see me? Can you hear me? Is my head moving? Because I'm moving it and I don't
Yes.
see it moving on the camera. It is,
It's a little lag is what's happening right
but
now.
it's
It's
okay. I can keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. So by the time you graduated,
Okay. So by the time we graduated from high school, it was like, the goal was like, you're going to USC, you have this scholarship, you belong here. Don't ever make anybody believe that you're an outsider or you don't belong. So that program really was instrumental in shaping who I was as a person, as a human being, as a learner. And it really shaped the teachers that I had in that program, and just their dedication and their devotion to us really, I think, impacted me to want to be an educator, because they were so passionate. And I know that I'm a passionate person. So before, I thought like, hey, I might want to go into child psychology. I want to work with youth. I want to support youth. But in the end, I was a part of the joint educational project. Well, let me back up. I was a tutor in my high school year. I think it was my senior year of high school. One of the NAI teachers had retired, and she had created her own business. And it was kind of like a business nonprofit model. And her name was Miss Amos, and she would go into different inner city apartment complexes, apartment units, or
hmm,
what people considered the projects.
right.
And each of those units would have like a community room that she would get to use after school as a tutoring center for the kids who lived in that apartment complex. And
Okay.
she hired us, the NAI high school scholars, to come and be tutors, and we would tutor the elementary school kids who lived in those projects.
The Rewrite Method and the Rewrite Method Workbook are your go-to resource for helping kids to learn to fall in love with writing. It has the tips, tools, resources, strategies, and skill building activities to help kids fall out of writing hate and into loving to write. Get your book set today.
Okay.
So that was like my first experience with, quasi being in education as a tutor. And I was really passionate about it. It was very fulfilling. And I love the feeling of getting students who felt like they didn't know math or they didn't know, how to read or say a word or how to spell or how to write.
Yeah.
I just felt so good being able to support them and encourage them and let them know, like, you can do this. You can do anything you put your mind to, and I'm here to support you. So that was kind of how the things that I was involved in prior to college that got me thinking, like, oh, maybe I could be into education. And when I got to USC, I was a part of the Joint Educational Project, and then another one of my classes that I participated in sent us into the community to work with schools, creating lessons and teaching those lessons to students in our surrounding. It was called the Family of Five schools surrounding
Nice.
USC. And I was able to go in and teach, kids with my classmates and my group mates. And a lot of my classmates, not a lot, most, all of my classmates that I was doing these projects with were not from the inner city. They had never had or lived that experience. It was like they were going into a foreign area or they were
Yes.
going to something that was unknown. Whereas this was what I was used to. This was my home. This was my community
Yeah.
because I lived in the neighborhood prior to
Mm-hmm.
going to USC. So I've, I had a different experience when I was doing it. So for me, I felt like I was giving back to my community and this is
Right.
where I belong. So again, those things really impacted my decision to ultimately change my major and do English language and literature and minor in education. And then I ended up being able to drop my minor and go directly into teaching through my English language and literature major.
Okay. All right. What a journey. And that is so
Yeah.
awesome that stuck with that program. Wonderful. USC alumni, University of Southern California. That's so awesome. And that program is still around. So if
It
anybody is
surely is.
watching and listening, like your kid can be in that program. There's different schools that offer that program and, it matriculates all the way into high school, right? And
And
we see,
they have
go ahead.
just to They have just to added more schools because they only had, over the years it's transitioned,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were only having Fauché as a feeder school, and then they were moving
Right.
more eastwards,
Mm-hmm.
toward LA. And in the past, I think year and a half, 2 years, they've now added um, Audubon Middle
Mm.
School, so that they could attract more students from different demographics of Los Angeles
Yeah.
County or from Los Angeles area
Yeah.
that reflects our community. So that was something that they've done. And I think now as like feeder schools, they're moving towards instead of just having Fauché, I think they're also moving towards Crenshaw and possibly Dorsey. So I don't want to misspeak, but you have the information pulled up
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I'm still a part of working with the alumni association from time to time.
Ooh,
So
wonderful.
yes, thank you for
Okay.
sharing that.
Yes. Well, thank you. So, let's talk about your current career, right? As a school librarian. What, can you tell us about libraries that can give, parents, kids, some insight? Like, what might they be missing? What's some underutilized parts of libraries?
Yes, and how could I forget my journey? Like that was my undergrad journey. I ended up going to San Jose State University. How I even ended up in libraries. So again, like I went into education. I started teaching English English at a high school in Inglewood. Shout out to Inglewood. Um, and loved it. And I was there, for about 15 years. But
Okay.
um, I transitioned from the English classroom into the library accidentally. So I can't say, like, I knew I wanted to be an educator. I knew I wanted to teach. I
Right.
thought, but I didn't wake up saying, oh, you know what? I've always dreamed of being a librarian. If I said that, I'd be lying, right? But how I ended up being in the library was our librarian at the time was retiring. And how our school used to do is if somebody retires from a position, they just close it all together. So
Oh,
we lost auto mechanic shop, we lost JROTC, we lost a lot of things. And so the librarian, she was on a mission. She said, look,
okay.
when I leave here, I do not want them to close this library or close this library position. I am recruiting.
Yes.
Somebody is going to take this position. And so she
Yes.
went out to all the English teachers and was trying to recruit, and everybody was looking at her, including me, like, this woman is tripping. You know what I'm saying? Why does she think I want to spend the rest of my life shelving books? Like, no, I'm in the classroom. I teach English. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And for whatever reason, one day, I don't know what happened. And I said, that library degree is looking kind of intriguing right now. When you face different challenges and dynamics in the workplace, sometimes you're like, let me look at the grass on the other side and see if it's looking greener over there. And so it came back to my mind. She was like, if you go to the library, you'll stay in education much longer. And I was side eyeing her, looking like, what? What? No. Like, and so, for whatever reason, I said, let me look into these programs. And at the time, I wanted to stay in California, and the programs that were available, I think, were UCLA, San Jose State. Um, those were the two that were offering master's degrees,
Mm-hmm.
MLISs,
Mm-hmm.
Masters in Library and Information Science, along with your program. But then Cal State Long Beach offered a program with no masters, but you were getting your teacher librarian credential. You would be certified to do that. And I
Okay.
told myself, I don't want to go to school again and not get a degree to connect with this education. I need to get something that I can that
Mm-hmm.
can move with me. And so I was
Yes.
like, no knock on the CSU LB program, but I was like, no, I want to get my degree in this so that it's versatile and I can use it.
Yeah.
And so I looked into San Jose and UCLA. And so UCLA, I don't know, they were requiring, I don't know what's kind of statistics program. And I was like, I don't want to do any statistics, more statistics and computer science classwork, coursework. I want to do this. So I weeded it down and I did the hybrid program at San Jose State. So
Okay.
I would go to school online, and then I would spend sometimes some weekends or, a week or so in San Jose doing the in-person components of the program.
Okay.
And I learned so much about libraries in my first semester that I had been misinformed, that
Mm.
I did not really understand the uh the anomaly of what a library was. Like, it was so much. I thought shelving books, check in,
Right.
check out books, and that's
Yes.
what comes to mind from other people when they think about libraries. But
Yes.
I learned that libraries are massive. There's so many different types of libraries, right? You have your school library, your medical libraries, your law libraries, your university
Mm.
library. So many libraries. And within those spaces, you have people who are professionals at providing access to resources, connecting people with their passions, sharing
Oh.
so many having, like, just being a dream whisperer, like anything you
Okay.
right? Anything you can do, you can
Amazing.
find in your local library. Go to a librarian. A librarian may not have the exact, like, you get asked a question, they may not have the answer on the spot. Many of them
Mm-hmm.
do, but I guarantee you they won't rest until they connect you with the people, the organization, the
Okay.
resources that you need to uh again pursue whatever source of information or whatever passion you have. And so for me, what I wish that more parents did was when I was growing up, I was after school, the library was my after school care,
Yes.
and it wasn't latchkey. Okay. And the librarian would say, "Here, read this. What did you want to?" That librarian knew what I liked to read and said, "All right, have you tried this?" And when I had finished all of this, she would say, "Hey, have you thought about this?" And that was before the World Wide Web, before you
Okay.
had access to the internet, right? But now
Yes.
I feel like parents need to know that the library is a safe space where their kids can have access to resources. And it's not only just books. Like in my
Mm,
library alone, we provide, and we're just a school library, right? But we provide hotspots, we provide calculators, we provide Chromebooks, we provide the online electronic resources. And then
yes.
on top of that, we connect you with, say, for instance, the public library. If it's something that we don't have, like we have access to audiobooks and ebooks through Sora, through our school site, but we also have access to LA County. And what I tell my
Okay.
LA County library, just from being a part of LA County schools, right? And
Okay.
so what I would tell my parents, what I would tell my community is, if there is something that you need access to and you just don't have an idea or don't have a clue about how to get it, please, please, please reach out to your local librarian, your school librarian, your community librarian, any librarian you know. If you're looking for access to jobs or access to, um, you know, essential needs, you're looking for access to mentorship, you're looking to access to, oh, how do I learn how to sew or learn a new skill? I
Yeah.
guarantee you, your local librarian will help you find a way. If we don't have it there and can't provide access to you in some way on site, we'll get you connected with somebody who can get you the resources that you need.
Okay. I love that. You said the dream whisper, the librarians. Okay. I love this. Yeah. So this is why we had you on. We want to hear that insight. We don't know, right? A lot of people don't know all the things that libraries can provide, what you can have access to, and how they can help connect you to resources. Amazing. So, what would you say to any parents out there who are really struggling to connect their child to something that they love to do? What could you offer them? Some advice or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a parent too, so I get it. I know the struggle is real. I tell my kids I do this for a living. Like, I help connect people to resources, I help support people. Let me support you. And a lot of times is they need a different messenger. They need, somebody
Mhm.
that is going to, I ditto, say exactly what you just said verbatim, but hear it from a different source because it
Yeah.
sounds different to them. I don't understand. I don't know why, but what I would say is, allies. Your librarian, it can be a very strong ally. They're teachers, right? They're
Yeah.
educators, coaches, okay, are educators. But find someone, um a space, whether it's via sports or via a passion, if they're drumming or if they're a musician, or
Mhm.
connect first. Understand what your kids are interested in and support them. Find somebody that's a member of that team. And I'm always going to say, find a librarian. Don't don't sleep on the librarians. But it takes a village um,
Mhm.
to raise a child. And nowadays, when kids are so much into, like, they go inward because they have
Yeah.
the social media, they have, the electronics, and they don't necessarily feel like they can reach out, into the real world. You know what I'm saying? They're
Mhm. Mhm.
in a virtual world, yes, they can reach out and possibly thrive there. But when it comes to interacting in the real world and the real space, it's a struggle, and, I'm not a social scientist or psychologist, but I am a lifelong educator who, again, I got my, and it's not all about the degrees, because I can name off my degrees, my master's degrees in education and library and information science, and my doctorate degree that I got from Loyola Marymount University. But that's paper. At the end of the day, that's the technique, the strategies,
Mhm.
the all of that stuff. But when we talk about the boots on the ground practical, I put in my work there too. So I
Mhm.
absolutely understand you have to blend the two. You got to have the knowledge, about how the child brain works, the
Mhm.
adolescent brain works, how it's developing, the
Yeah.
neuroscience, all of that type of stuff. You have to have all of your, pedagogy and all of those things. But then in real life, you have to really understand you got to make a connection with the person who's in front of you, right?
Yeah.
You got to make a connection with your kid, and then again build a web, build your village out, and really get your librarian on board, your coaches on board, get everybody on board singing the same song, right?
Yeah.
It may have a different beat over here, it
Yes.
may have a
Yes.
different beat over here, but we're all there to support, our youth, our children. And so again, for parents, I understand, because I'm a parent going through the struggle as well. I have to get a village for mine, because when
Yes.
I say stuff, they don't want to listen, right? Regardless of how educated we are as parents or not educated or whatever the case may be, um, our kids just need to know, like, you're not the only one that's saying this to them. Like,
Yes.
right? That everyone is in in pursuit of their excellence, or in pursuit of their
Yes.
success, in pursuit of
Mhm.
their happiness, in pursuit of them achieving more than they could ever imagine they could achieve. And so
Yes.
when they know that there is a village that, okay, man, the librarian at the school ain't playing about me, my
Yes.
mama ain't playing about me, my coach ain't playing about me, and everybody is communicating, like we're all, singing
Mhm.
the same song, and we're all there knowing, like, okay, Bobby loves basketball. Um, Bobby loves music. Bobby loves to jokes. So
Yeah.
how can we as a unit, support that? And everybody has a role to play. And I think that that's sometimes where we go astray. We don't understand. And it's not about parents saying, oh, here, take my kid and not, be involved. That's not what it is. It's like, okay, there's certain things that you're saying, hey, okay, I can handle this, I can handle this. But you know what? This professional is more equipped with some of the tools and the skill sets to support my kid better than I could. So it's not about ego, right? And
Yeah.
it's also
Absolutely.
not about negligence either, right? It's about knowing your capacity, knowing what your skill set is. And it's not saying that you can't improve and learn other skill sets as we go on, but it's okay to reach out for support
Yeah.
from a reading specialist, right?
Yeah.
From an interventionist, from a therapist, from a librarian, from a coach. But a lot of parents don't know that these resources are available and that they have access to these resources, and that
Yeah.
our job as a school to provide access to these resources so that your child and your family and the community can thrive, right? And so that is my thing. Connect with the resources, connect with your library. Guarantee you, I guarantee you, you will never think that you have gone wrong or gone astray if you connect with your local librarian. I'm not trying to toot my horn as a librarian, but what I am saying is that librarians will go above and beyond to connect you with the people, the resources that you, your family, our communities need to be successful.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. And to all of our listeners and viewers out there, please make sure you do something today to give your child the competitive advantage.
Thanks
Thank
again for
you.
supporting the Falling for Learning podcast. New episodes go live every Saturday at 5 p.m. You can watch us on youtube.com at Falling for Learning or listen on all major podcast platforms such as Apple, Google, Audible, Spotify, and much more. For more resources, visit fallinginlovewithlearning.com. We really appreciate you. Have a wonderful week.